The hose burst to life in Marcus Hale's grip, unleashing a torrent that soaked the parched earth of the Voss estate under the merciless Los Angeles sun, each drop a defiant pulse against the drought's chokehold. Alexander Voss exploded from the glass doors of his sprawling Beverly Hills mansion like a storm front, his tailored suit rumpled, face twisted in a roar that echoed off the palm trees. "You idiot! Turn that off now. Do you have any idea what you're wasting?" But as the water settled into shimmering pools, revealing hidden blooms unfurling like secrets long buried, Alexander froze, the fury draining from him as if the earth itself had swallowed it whole. Marcus didn't flinch. He straightened slowly, wiping mud-streaked hands on his faded jeans, his green eyes locking onto Alexander's with a quiet fire that had no place in a man paid to prune hedges. At 32, Marcus had learned to weather worse than a billionaire's tantrum. Small-town whispers in rural Ohio that chased him west, a father's Bible-thumping silence after the coming-out letter, lovers who vanished like morning fog when the world pressed too hard. This job, tending the Voss grounds, was supposed to be escape. Vast lawns rolling toward the Hollywood Hills, a paycheck that funded his volunteer shifts at the local LGBTQ+ youth center. But today, with the sprinklers he'd jury-rigged running overtime, escape felt like a trap snapping shut. Alexander, 45 and forged in boardrooms where mercy was a weakness, jabbed a finger toward the deluge. "I've got investors breathing down my neck about sustainability reports, and you're out here playing rain god? You're fired, Hale. Pack your tools and get off my property." His voice cracked on the last word, not from anger, but from the exhaustion of a life built on acquisitions. Voss Tech, his empire of AI-driven security systems, had just inked a deal that could reshape urban surveillance. Yet here he was, unraveling over a gardener's flood. Widowed 5 years now, with a teenage son he barely recognized, Alexander's world was a fortress of control, and Marcus's quiet rebellion cracked its walls. Marcus knelt again, ignoring the threat, his fingers brushing a cluster of violet petals that trembled in the mist. "It's not waste, Mr. Voss. Look closer." The words hung soft but unyielding, laced with the drawl of his Midwest roots. Alexander stepped forward despite himself, boots sinking into the sodden grass, and that's when he saw it. Not just the manicured perfection he demanded, but something wilder, woven into the borders, a tapestry of flowers he'd never noticed, heirloom varieties that bloomed in defiant riots of color, their roots drinking deep from the overfed soil. It started small, that moment. Alexander dismissed Marcus with a curt nod, retreating to his study where screens flickered with stock tickers and encrypted feeds. But the image lingered, those petals, resilient against the spray, mirroring something in Marcus's gaze, a vulnerability armored in resolve. By evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills painting the sky in bruised purples, Alexander found himself at the window, watching Marcus pack his truck under the security lights. The gardener moved with deliberate grace, loading clippers and pots, but paused to water one last bed, the hose whispering against the leaves. "Damn it," Alexander muttered, grabbing his keys. He told himself it was practicality. Loose ends chafed, but deep down, it was the hook of curiosity, sharp as a thorn. He caught Marcus at the gate, the engine rumbling low. "Wait. Explain the flowers. Why risk your job?" Marcus leaned against the truck bed, arms crossed, the sodium glow casting shadows that softened his jawline. "Because some things need more than survival, Mr. Voss. They need nurturing. Those blooms. They're for the center downtown, the Pride Garden Project. Kids like me once, scared and shut out, they plant them, watch them grow. Proves beauty comes back, even in dry spells." His voice dipped, carrying the weight of unspoken scars. The boyfriend who'd bailed after a hate crime scare, the friends lost to the streets when families turned away. Alexander blinked, the confession landing like rain on cracked earth. He'd donated to causes, faceless checks to GLAAD, rainbow flags waved at corporate galas for optics. But this? Personal, gritty, blooming right under his nose. "The center," he echoed, mind flashing to his son, Ethan, 16 and withdrawn, posters of indie bands masking the sketches of boys holding hands that Alexander had pretended not to see. "Ethan, he's been sneaking out. To meetings, I think." Marcus's eyes sharpened, not with pity, but recognition. The youth group? Good kid. Keeps to himself, but he's got heart. Draws these incredible murals, hidden stories, like the ones in the garden. A beat, then softer. If you fire me, who'll keep it going? The question wasn't leverage, it was a mirror. Alexander felt exposed, his empire's cold algorithms paling against this man's dirt-stained hands. Stay, he said finally, the word tasting foreign. But no more floods without warning. As Marcus drove off with a nod, Alexander returned inside, the mansion's silence heavier. That night, sleep evaded him, dreams tangled with water and color, Ethan's distant laughter from years ago echoing like a plea. The next morning dawned sharp, the kind of LA clarity that burned away haze. Marcus arrived early, truck laden with seedlings smuggled from a community plot, their tags whispering promises of lavender and snapdragons. He worked the east border, turning soil with a rhythm born of ritual, each turn unearthing memories. His own first pride, a shaky flag in Cincinnati rain, the thrill of hands linking under streetlights despite the jeers. Alexander watched from the patio, coffee steaming untouched. He'd canceled a breakfast with venture capitalists, citing estate matters. But really, it was the pull of that border, now alive with possibility. Ethan shuffled out, hoodie up, eyes flicking to Marcus with a hunger Alexander recognized too late, yearning for belonging. Dad, why's the gardener still here? Ethan asked, voice edged with teen defiance, but his gaze lingered on the new plants. Because he's building something worth it, Alexander replied, surprising himself. Want to help? Ethan snorted, but didn't retreat to his room. Instead, he hovered, eventually kneeling to press a seed into the dirt, Marcus guiding his hand with a patience that felt like grace. See? Firm but gentle. Like you're telling it, you're safe here. The afternoon unfolded in uneasy truce. Alexander retreated to calls, but snippets drifted. Marcus's low laugh, Ethan's questions about those flags in the hills. What do they mean? Pride flags, Alexander realized, dotting the distant slopes, symbols he'd dismissed as noise. By dusk, the border pulsed with life, a secret Eden amid the estate's sterile perfection. Marcus packed up, but Alexander met him at the drive. Dinner. My treat. 2. Apologize. Marcus paused, wary. Invitations like this often masked judgments, curiosity cloaked in condescension. Why? Because I yelled at a man pouring life into my ground. Least I can do is buy tacos. It was a start. Awkward overall pastor at a hole-in-the-wall on Sunset, fluorescent lights buzzing like doubts. Marcus spoke of the center, drop-in nights where trans kids shared zines, bi-curious teens tested wings in safe circles. Alexander listened, probing gently about Ethan. He's questioning. Doesn't trust me to get it. Give him soil, Marcus said, dipping a chip. Something to grow in, without you hovering. The advice stung, truthful. Alexander dropped Marcus home. A modest bungalow in West Hollywood, rainbow flag fluttering like a heartbeat, and drove back wrestling ghosts. His late wife Clara's quiet acceptance of differences, his own buried unease from a conservative upbringing, boardroom jokes he'd laughed at to fit. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. Marcus expanded the garden, weaving in narratives, a rosebush for lost loves, salvia for chosen families. Ethan joined sporadically, his sketches evolving, vines of color entwining figures in embrace. Alexander found excuses to linger, housed the drip system, masking deeper hungers, conversations veering from irrigation to isolation. One evening, as thunderheads gathered rare rain, Marcus confided over weeding, grew up hiding. Dad found my journal, poems about a boy at school, burned it on the grill, said it was poison. His voice steady, but hands trembled on the trowel. Alexander's chest tightened. I burned Ethan's sketch once. Thought I was protecting him. Woke up hating the ashes. The admission bridged them, fragile as new shoots. Rain broke then, warm and insistent, drenching them where they knelt. Marcus laughed, head thrown back, and Alexander joined, the sound foreign in his throat, a release. But shadows loomed. Vostek's new contract stirred controversy. Facial recognition tech flagged at protests for targeting queer gatherings. Protesters picketed the gates, signs screaming, "Voss spies on us." Alexander fortified, but Marcus saw the toll, sleepless eyes, Ethan's withdrawal deepening. Then the twist, a leaked email, Alexander's signature on a clause prioritizing high-risk demographics. The media frenzy hit like a gale, branding him a bigot profiting on fear. Reporters swarmed the estate, drones buzzing like accusations. Marcus arrived to chaos, clippers useless against the horde. What happened? Alexander, barricaded in the study, voice hollow through the intercom. My own words, twisted. Or not. I don't know anymore. Ethan burst in, face pale. Dad, it's everywhere. They say you're the villain in every queer kid's nightmare. The words gutted Alexander. He emerged, finding Marcus facing down a cameraman at the fence. Back off. This isn't your story. But it became theirs. That night, over a fortified dinner, pizza delivered by armored courier, Marcus challenged. Fix it. Not with lawyers. With truth. Alexander nodded, resolve hardening. He pulled strings for a press conference. But first, the garden. Under floodlights, he and Ethan planted the final bed, Marcus overseeing. This is your legacy, Marcus said, handing Alexander a sapling. Roots over reach. The conference dawned electric. Alexander stood at the podium, City Hall's marble cold underfoot, cameras a thicket. I've built walls, he began, voice raw. Security that divides, not protects. Today, I dismantle one. He revealed the garden project, funding it publicly, partnering with the center. My son showed me growth isn't coded, it's chosen. Applause rippled, but backlash brewed. Anonymous threats flooded inboxes, slurs carved into the estate's gates, a brick through Marcus's window with a note. Weeds get pulled. Fear coiled. Marcus insisted on night watches, but tension simmered between them. Unspoken pulls, glances lingering too long. Alexander caught himself tracing Marcus's profile in the lamplight, wondering at the warmth it stirred, foreign yet fierce. Ethan sensed it first. Dad, you look at him like Mom looked at you. Before. The words ignited panic. Alexander retreated, burying in work, but the garden pulled him back. One storm-lashed night, Marcus arrived soaked, tools abandoned. Can't do this alone. The center's vandalized, murals slashed. They drove together, Ethan in tow, to the gutted space. Walls weeping paint, symbols of hope defaced. Rage and grief warred in Alexander. He knelt amid shards, vowing, we'll rebuild. Bigger. Marcus's hand on his shoulder steadied him, a current passing. Comfort, yes, but charged with more. Their eyes met, rain blurring boundaries, and in that hush, Alexander whispered, stay. Not just for the job. Marcus pulled back gently. Hearts like gardens, Alex. Rush the bloom, kill the root. The nickname slipped unintended, intimate. Alexander let it linger, a seed. Rebuilding became ritual. Volunteers flocked, queer coders from Voss Tech, Ethan's school allies. Alexander coded pro bono, an app mapping safe spaces, faces blurred for privacy. Marcus designed the plots, each plant a story, forget-me-nots for the forgotten. But conflict crested. A board member, Harlan, cornered Alexander. This rainbow crusade tanks stock. Investors flee bigotry? Try pandering. Harlan's eyes flicked to Marcus, disdain naked. And that, distraction. Fury boiled. He's the reason we're human, Harlan. Walk. The ouster rippled, shares dipped, but allies emerged, silent supporters in the C-suite, whispers of pride in hidden emails. Personal storms brewed too. Marcus's ex, Jordan, resurfaced, charming architect, all surface smiles, proposing reconciliation over coffee. Missed you, Mark. That billionaire? Charity case. Jealousy gnawed Alexander, irrational. He confronted Marcus in the potting shed, voice tight. Him? After everything. Marcus's laugh bitter. Not everything's yours to tend, Alex. The words wounded, exposing the tangle. Admiration blooming to ache. Prejudices unearthed like weeds. Alexander stormed off, but Ethan mediated, wise beyond years. Dad, love's not a deal. It's the mess after. Climax shattered the fragile peace. At the center's relaunch gala, lanterns strung like stars, garden beds aglow, protesters breached, not Harlan's hirelings, but a rogue faction decrying corporate queers. Chaos erupted. Shouts, shoves, a bottle shattering near Ethan. Alexander shielded his son, but Marcus dove in, de-escalating with words honed in bar fights and boardroom echoes. "We're not your enemy. We're the Bloom you fear." A leader lunged, fist raised, but Alexander intercepted, taking the blow to the jaw. Blood welled, vision swimming, yet clarity struck. This man, this life, worth the bruise. In the aftermath, medics swarming, Marcus knelt beside him. "Fool. What?" "Because nurturing means fighting dirty sometimes." Alexander cupped Marcus's face, thumb tracing jaw, the touch electric, honest. "And because it's you." The gala hushed, eyes on them, revelation raw. Ethan grinned through tears. Finally. But twists lingered. Harlan, exiled but venomous, leaked doctored footage. Alexander's assault spun as aggression against activists. Scandal swirled, sponsors fled, the app delayed. Isolation gripped. Alexander holed up, empire fracturing, self-doubt a drought. Marcus persisted, daily visits turning confessional. "I ran from Jordan because he saw the gardener, not the grower." You see roots. One dawn, as fog cloaked the hills, Alexander met Marcus at the garden's heart. "I love you," he said, simple as soil. Not despite the mess, the because. Marcus's smile broke, tears salting earth. "Then let's tend it together." Resolution unfolded slow, like petals. Vostech pivoted, ethical AI, queer-led initiatives. The garden thrived, extension to the center a haven. Ethan came out fully, Alexander's embrace fierce, unyielding. Prejudices faded, not erased. Whispers in high society. Family calls laced with caution, but love rooted deeper, weathering. Marcus and Alexander built. Shared home, blended rituals, pride floats, quiet Sundays weeding. In the end, under that same relentless sun, water arched gentle now, nourishing what endured. Not just flowers, but family forged in flood. Marcus woke to the scent of dew-kissed earth, the bungalow's windows framing a sky bruised with pre-dawn light. 6 months since the gala brawl, and the Voss estate felt less like a job and more like a joint pulse. Alexander's touch lingering in the small things. A new trowel engraved with their initials. Coffee brewed strong, just how Marcus liked. But peace was a tricky bloom, prone to blight. Today marked the center's first youth retreat, a weekend in the San Bernardino Mountains, and Marcus's gut twisted with old fears. Leading kids who'd stare at his fairy gardener vibe, or worse, unravel under the weight of their stories. Alexander stirred beside him, arm slung possessively over Marcus's waist, breath warm against his neck. "Early riser as always. Need backup." Marcus turned, kissing the worry crease between Alexander's brows. "You've got the board meeting. Go conquer algorithms. I've got this." But as he dressed, jeans soft from wear, flannel shirt rolled to elbows, doubt crept. Ethan had begged off the trip, citing finals. But Marcus knew better. The kid was testing wings, dating a barista from his art class, navigating that tender space where love felt like freefall. The drive east wound through canyons, radio humming indie folk that echoed Marcus's youth, songs of outcasts finding chorus. The sender's van waited at the trailhead, loaded with tints and trust falls, a dozen teens milling. Jamie, the non-binary poet with blue-streaked hair. Riley, the trans boy whose voice cracked mid-laugh. Sophia, bi and bold, hiding family bruises under bravado. Marcus greeted them with hugs, masks slipping into genuine grins. Up the trail, the air thinned, pines whispering secrets. Campfire circle that night, stories spilled like sparks. Jamie read a poem about mirrors that lied. Riley shared binders and binders. Sophia confessed a crush on her best friend, who ghosted post-confession. Marcus listened, heart aching with echoes. His own first love, Tommy, stolen by a truck on prom night, leaving questions that flowered into therapy bills. Then Lila, quiet till now, 16 with eyes like shattered glass. My uncle, he found my diary, said I was confused, dragged me to conversion camp. Escaped last month. Her voice frayed, group hushing. Marcus knelt, firelight dancing on his face. Escapes the first bloom, Lila. The rest? We water together. Alexander texted midway, Board approved the safe space module. Thinking of you. Marcus smiled, thumbs flying, kids blooming. Miss your steady. But as stars wheeled overhead, a rustle in the brush snapped tension, wildlife, or worse. Marcus grabbed the lantern, heart hammering, only to find a deer, eyes reflective innocence. Back in the city Sunday, exhaustion clung like clay. Alexander met him at the gate, pulling him into the mansion's cool foyer, hands framing Marcus's face. Tell me. Over takeout Thai, green curry sharp as truths. Marcus unpacked Lila's tale, the group's raw healings. Alexander absorbed, then confessed, Harlan's suing. Claims I defamed him, tanked his career. The old foe, unbowed, twisting exile into vendetta. Marcus's fork paused. Let him. We've got deeper roots. But roots tested storms. Monday brought the subpoena, splashed across trades. Voss sued by ousted exec over queer agenda slander. Pundits piled on, dredging Alexander's past. Conservative donors, that ill-fated email. Ethan slammed doors, homework abandoned for doom-scrolling forums where trolls dissected their family. Marcus found him in the garden, sketching furious lines, thorns encircling figures. They're saying Dad's faking it. For PR. He's not, Marcus said, sitting cross-legged. Love's not a script, Ethan. It's the edit after the cut. Ethan's pencil stilled. You believe that? After Jordan. Marcus winced, the ex's shadow, a reminder of polished lies. Jordan was sunlight without soil. Your dad? He's the rain that sticks. Comfort landed, but crisis escalated. Harlan's lawyer deposed Ethan, probing influence from Marcus, implying grooming. The accusation landed like herbicide, scorching trust. Alexander raged in the study, pacing like a caged algorithm. They can't touch him. I'll bury them in motions. Marcus entered, closing the door soft. Or rise above. Testify. Show the garden's truth, not their narrative. The deposition loomed, a coliseum of legalese. Alexander prepped with counsel, but nights frayed. Nightmares of loss, Clara's ghost urging, let go to hold. Marcus anchored him, walks in the moonlit plots, hands linked against the chill. Day arrived, sterile conference room reeking of stale ambition. Harlan's attorney, slick as oil, leaned in. Mr. Voss, your sudden advocacy coincides with hiring Mr. Hale, correct? A pattern of personal motivations. Alexander met the gaze, steady. Personal? Yes. Motivations? Protecting my son, my home, the lives my tech was meant to safeguard, not surveil. He detailed the garden's genesis, Ethan's sketches pinned to easels, Marcus's volunteer logs projected like evidence of grace. Harlan, across the table, smirked, fading to ash as Alexander continued. You called it a crusade. I call it correction. My error was silence. Yours is spite. The room shifted, attorneys scribbling retreat. Outside, Marcus waited, Ethan fidgeting. Alexander emerged, shoulders unbowed. It's over. Settlement on our terms. Relief flooded, but undercurrents stirred. That evening, Harlan cornered Marcus at a fundraiser. Uninvited, champagne flute trembling. You poisoned him. Ruined a titan for your little fairy tale. Marcus held ground, voice low. Tales endure. Poison wilts. Harlan lunged, glass shattering, cut lancing Marcus's palm. Security swarmed, but damage etched. Blood on cuff. Doubt in Alexander's eyes when he heard. Home, bandaging under kitchen fluorescence. Tension crackled. Why go alone? Alexander demanded, gauze tight. Didn't want your shadow over mine, Marcus replied, wincing. But maybe I need it. The vulnerability cracked open. Alexander pulled him close, foreheads touching. We're entangled now. Vines, not chains. Healing wove through autumn. The lawsuit crumbled. Harlan's reputation, the true casualty. Vostech launched the app to acclaim. Downloads spiking in queer hubs from WeHo to Brooklyn. Ethan exhibited his murals at the center, sales funding scholarships. First piece. Roots entwined, Alexander and Marcus stylized amid blooms. Yet personal thorns pricked. Marcus's father called, voice gravel from Ohio winters, heard on the news. That rich man's pet project. Still playing dress-up. The line went dead before reply, but ache lingered. Alexander found him by the koi pond, skipping stones. Invite him. To the holiday build. Marcus laughed hollow. He'd burn the wreaths. Or thaw. Try. The invitation sent, silence answered. Christmas neared, estates strung with lights, subtle rainbows woven in. Ethan directed, tree topped with a crystal prism, refracting hope. Vigil ebbed into New Year's, no knock came. Marcus mourned quietly, baking pies that tasted of concession. But on 12th night, tires crunched gravel, an old Ford, dust-caked, Dad Hale unfolding stiff-legged. Eyes averted, he thrust a parcel, seeds, heirloom tomato from the family farm. For your plots. Figured they might grow out west. Marcus took it, throat tight. Stay for cake. A nod, grudging. Over slices, talk tiptoed. Weather, Ethan's art. Alexander hovered distant, then joined. Mr. Hale, Marcus saved my soil. Hope you see the harvest. Eyes met, grudging respect flickering. No hugs, but a handshake, roots tentative. Spring surged, garden exploding, bees drunk on lavender, paths lined with story stones etched by youth. Marcus and Alexander planned a wedding. Small, center chapel, vows exchanged amid petals. But fate twisted once more. Lila, from the retreat, called frantic, runaway episode, couch surfing in Skid Row. Marcus mobilized, Alexander's jet fuel for the rescue. Lila airlifted, therapy funded. In the jet's hush, Lila whispered, "You too. You're proof." Proof, indeed. Ceremony dawned golden, Ethan best man, Sophia officiating with by flair. Vows simple. I nurture you, through drought and deluge. Rings exchanged, cheers erupted. Family, chosen and blood, blended under arches of rose. Life post-vow, mornings tangled in sheets, evenings weeding side by side. Vosteka's ethics board? Marcus's seat. The garden? A nonprofit, branches in cities coast to coast. In quiet moments, Alexander traced Marcus's scars, palm from glass, heart from fire. What you've nurtured, he murmured, is us. Marcus smiled, waterkin poised, and still growing. Summer heat baked the estate into a furnace, mirages dancing off the infinity pool as Marcus surveyed the garden's expanse. 2 years wed, and the plots had metastasized, volunteer vines claiming trellises, solar fountains gurgling sustainability hymns. Alexander's influence showed in tech touches, sensors tracking bloom health, data dashboards predicting pest incursions. But Marcus chafed at the metrics, preferring instincts whisper over codes dictate. Ethan, now 18 and NYU-bound for graphic design, lounged poolside, laptop open to mock-ups for a queer graphic novel. Dad's turning our Eden into Silicon Valley South, he teased, sketching a robot pruning shears. Marcus chuckled, misting ferns. Your dad's a fixer. Can't blame him for loving efficiency. But privately, friction simmered. Alexander's latest venture, a VR empathy sim for corporate diversity training, promised revolution, but pilot tests with center kids revealed glitches, avatars defaulting to stereotypes, trans figures glitching mid-transition. Boardroom battles ensued, Alexander defending. It's beta. Iterative. Marcus countered at home, over grilled corn. Iteration means listening, not overriding. Those kids felt erased. The argument lingered, unspoken at breakfasts, but Alexander yielded, inviting youth coders to hack the sim. Progress sparked, but resentment seeded. Marcus questioning if love blurred boundaries. Alexander wondering if passion veered preachy. External gales howled too. A rival firm, Apex Guard, poached Vostek talent with whispers of Harlan's backing, Payback's long shadow. Spies infiltrated, stealing the app's core algorithm, launching a knockoff laced with ads for reparative therapy retreats. Scandal detonated. Headlines screamed Voss's stolen tech funds conversion camps. Protests reignited, pickets at the gates now joined by betrayed allies. Alexander's net worth plummeted, investors fleeing like rats. In the study's dim, Alexander paced, scotch untouched. I built this from garage hacks. Now it's ash. Marcus entered, arms full of clippings, resilient clippings, he'd noted. Ash fertilizes. Rebuild cleaner. But Ethan's voice cracked from the hall. They doxed me, Dad. My sketches online. Caption Nepo, queer cries wolf. Rage blinded. Alexander swept Marcus into the car, Ethan's shotgun, racing to the center for lockdown protocols. His own tech, ironically, now a shield. There, amid reinforced doors, Lila and Jamie rallied. We code back. Hackathon born of fury, nights blurring, pizza boxes piling, code flying. Marcus mediated, ensuring stories shaped the firewall, not just barriers, but bridges. Alexander dove in, sleeves rolled, learning lingo from teens who schooled him on intersectionality. Breakthrough came Dawnlet, a counter-app, Bloomguard, tracing Doc's origins to Apex servers, exposing Harlan's wire transfers. FBI knocked polite, but decisive, arrests rippled, Harlan cuffed on live feeds, empire crumbling. Vindication tasted bittersweet. Press hailed Alexander hero, but he waved it off. My husband's did the heavy lifting. Slip of tongue? No. Intentional a reclaiming. Public embraced, but personal quake followed. Marcus's father, thawed but tentative, visited post-arrest, bearing pie. Over slices, he grilled. This mess, you're doing? Marcus bristled. Ours. Loves a team sport, Dad. I softened. Saw your wedding clip. Looked. Right. A hug. Awkward but real. Roots deepening. Autumn cooled tempers, but twist uncoiled at a gala. Jordan, ex-resplendent in tux, cornering Alexander. Missed my chance with Mark. You? Temporary thrill. Jealousy flared, but Alexander laughed low. Thrill? He's my horizon. Jordan's retort. Leaked texts, old ones. Marcus venting pre-wedding doubts. Words twisted to imply cold feet. Gossip mills ground. Voss marriage on rocks? Gardner's green pasture. Tabloids feasted, friends whispered. Confrontation stormed in the greenhouse, humidity thick as accusations. You kept this. Marcus demanded, phone clutched. Alexander deflated. Old files, junk drawer digital. Never read. Trust freight. Marcus retreated to the bungalow, nights alone echoing. Ethan bridged. Talk roots, not storms. Reconciliation brewed slow. Alexander arriving with soil samples, proposing a new plot, Doubt Garden. Plants that thrived on neglect, proving resilience. Marcus relented, hands in dirt together. Weeds or wonders? Wonders, Alexander vowed, sealing with a kiss salted by sweat. Winter whispered warnings. Lila, thriving in college, revealed pregnancy, surrogate dreams dashed by dysphoria, now adoption fears amid anti-trans bills sweeping Congress. Marcus rallied. Legal aid from Voss coffers, center workshops on family building. But Alexander's testimony loomed. Lobby day in D.C., facing senators who'd once courted his donations. Capitol chill bit. Halls echoed power plays. Alexander's speech raw. Tech tracks us, but laws cage us. My family, queer, chosen, deserves doors, not deadbolts. Bills stalled, headlines shifted. Back home, Lila's nursery bloomed in the garden annex, crib carved by Ethan. Spring's renewal carried undercurrents. A documentary crew pitched, from flood to flowers, their story. Fame tempted, but Marcus hesitated. Ours or spectacle? They greenlit, conditional, focus on youth, not glamour. Filming unearthed ghosts. Marcus's Ohio home movies. Alexander's wedding to Clara, Ethan's coming out tears. Premiere night, theater hushed, then erupted, standing ovation, tears collective. Harlan, paroled, watched from shadows, letter delivered post-screening, you win. Plant for me too. Absolution's thorn. Alexander burned it unread, ashes to the beds. Summer circled back, heat merciful. Wedding anniversary, vow renewal Under Arbor, Ethan officiating now, Sophia and Jamie witnesses, Lila cradling newborn, adopted miracle. Vows evolved. Through hacks and heartaches, I choose you. Feast followed, laughter cascading. As stars pricked velvet sky, Marcus leaned into Alexander. Nurtured enough? Never, Alexander murmured. Always more. The documentary's ripple swelled into a wave, invites flooding. TED stages, podcast circuits, even a White House tea where Alexander cornered the advisor on AI ethics. Marcus tagged along, charming aids with garden metaphors. Policies like perennials, plant wrong, it chokes the bed. But spotlight glare unearthed insecurities. Fans mobbing Alexander as the ally icon. Marcus footnotes as the muse. One panel in San Francisco, fog-shrouded auditorium, a heckler rose mid-cue and a Voss profited off queer pain. Now cosplay savior? Venom targeted Marcus. And you? Token tender. Silence strangled. Alexander froze, but Marcus rose, mic steady. Token, I've bled for this soil. Savior? We're all students. Sit, learn, or leave. Applause thundered, but drive home southbound crackled. You okay? Alexander asked, hand on thigh. Marcus gripped well tighter, tired of being the heartstring. Your empire, my echo. Hurt flashed. Echo, you're the damn symphony. Words hung, festering. Home, distance grew, Marcus burying in center expansions, Alexander in expansion packs, global Voss outposts, queer liaisons embedded. Ethan, home for break, mediated beach walks, Malibu sands gritty underfoot. You're orbiting, not entwining. Talk dirt. Confession came over bonfire, embers spitting truths. I fear fading, Marcus admitted. Your world's vast, mine's this plot. Alexander poked the flames. Plot's the world. Without you, it's barren code. Realignment. Joint sabbatical, road trip tracing queer landmarks. Stonewall's ghosts in NYC. Black Lives Matter murals in Compton. A two-spirit powwow in Taos. Each stop stitched them tighter. Hands linked in museums. Debates over diner fries. In Albuquerque, storm hit. Literal, thunder rattling motel walls. Power out. Candlelit. Alexander confessed buried. Clara knew. About me. Bi-curious flickers, unexplored. Feared losing the straight man script. Marcus stilled, then cupped chin. Script's ash. Right ours. Intimacy deepened. Not carnal, but confessional. Shared diaries. Vulnerabilities voiced like vows. Return heralded harvest. Lila's baby, Theo, toddled in the garden, chubby fists yanking daisies. Sophia proposed to her partner. Ceremony in the rose arbor. Marcus and Alexander co-best men, toasts laced with bloom were planted. But autumn's chill carried barbs. Congresswoman Hale, no relation, irony sharp, spearheaded a family values bill, embedding conversion clauses in health codes. Allies mobilized, but leaks revealed her donor. Apex remnants, Harlan's ghost funding. Alexander testified again, D.C. Frostier. This isn't values, it's vivisection. My family thrives free, yours legislates fear. Bill faltered, but backlash personal. Hale's op-ed, Voss's velvet tyranny. How one man's garden chokes democracy. Slander stung, painting Marcus as Svengali. Rage redirected. Counter-campaign, youth testimonials viral. Lila's video, Theo gurgling amid sunflowers, caption grow free. Winter solstice brought surprise. Marcus's father, remarried to a widow from church, arrived unannounced. U-Haul trailing, boxes of farm relics. Wife says California's got sun. And sense. Room for old weeds. Tears pricked. Ethan hooped. Theo clapped. Alexander shook hands firm. Plot's yours. Integration awkward. Dad Hale grumbling at solar panels, bonding over tractor tails with Alexander. First pride together, float decked in Voss colors. Dad waving tentative flag. Never thought, he muttered. But seeing you. Full. Spring's thaw melted more. A Voss intern, trans engineer named Kai, uncovered sabotage, Apex malware in the sim, warping empathy modules to bias outputs. Crisis mode. Kai leading purge, Marcus hosting safe house for affected users, teens glitched into self-doubt. Alexander apologized publicly, platforming Kai. Innovation owes apologies. Redemption arc, but cost high. Stock dip, lawsuits anew. Sleepless, Alexander pace gardens, Marcus trailing. Measure success in sprouts, not shares. Kai's fix. Genius. AI learning loops fed on user stories, evolving like conversation. Beta wowed, avatars fluid, responses rooted in real narratives. Summer festival at the center, Bloomfest, thousands converging, music thumping, food trucks steaming, garden tours weaving through crowds. Alexander keynote, Marcus beside. From one hose fight to this harvest, thanks to you all. But midway, blackout, power grid hack, Lights dying, panic rippling. Whispers of apex revenge. Alexander's pulse spiked, scanning for Ethan amid throng. Marcus grabbed megaphone. Breathe. Hands link, form circles. We're the grid now. Order from chaos, voices rising in a cappella. We are the garden, original anthem, penned by Jamie. Power surged back, Kai's quick reroute, cheers deafening. Afterglow intimate. Rooftop, city sprawl twinkling. Alexander knelt, not proposal, promise ring, etched with coordinates of their first flood. Eternal nurture. Marcus slipped it on, kissing fierce. Eternal us. Fall deep in bonds. Dad Hale planted his tomatoes, yield bountiful. Sauce jars labeled Hale Voss hybrid. Lila's family grew. Theo calling Marcus Papa Bloom. Twist tiptoed. Anonymous donor to the center. Millions, strings attached? No. Clara's trust, unlocked posthumously, letter enclosed. For the loves I glimpsed but couldn't live. Tinwell. Tears collective. Alexander framed it in the greenhouse, beside their vows. Winter's hush gifted quiet. Holidays blended. Farm feasts, menorah candles beside tree. Ethan announced, scholarship to RISD, graphic novel deal. Entwined, dedicated to the gardeners. New Year's dawn, snow rare in LA dusting petals. Marcus and Alexander danced slow in the kitchen, radio crooning. What next? Alexander whispered. More, Marcus replied. Always more. The new year unfurled like a fern frond, tentative then bold, with bloom guards rollout hitting apps stores amid fanfare, billboards in Times Square, endorsements from celebs who'd once-eyed Alexander warily. Marcus watched the launch party from the sidelines, champagne flute light in hand, pride mingling with a prick of displacement. The center buzzed, expanded wings housing art studios and tech labs, but he missed the raw dirt of early days, calluses from hand-tilling, not grant-writing. Alexander sensed it, pulling him aside amid toasts. Earth to my grower. Too shiny. Marcus shrugged, smile tight. Shiny scratches. Just need ground. Escape plotted. Weekend at Big Sur. Cliffs plunging to surf. Cabin woodsmoke scented. Hikes, traced tide pools. Stars blanketing night. Conversations meandering from legacy to longing. Ever think kids? Alexander ventured, skipping pebbles. Marcus paused, wave crash underscoring. Theo's enough borrowed joy. But, yeah, surrogacy maybe. Or adoption, like Lila. Seed planted, but harvest distant. Back, reality rooted. Dad Hale's health scare. Heart murmur, doctor's orders for rest. Marcus flew Midwest, Alexander trailing, Ethan video calling pep talks. Ohio farm stark against memory. Silos sentinel, fields fallow under snow. Dad frail and recliner, but eyes bright. Brought the city slicker? Good. Needs dirt lessons. Weeks blurred. Snowshoeing, soup suppers with neighbors. Cautious glances softening to stories of Marcus's wild Cali life. One eve, over checkers, Dad confessed. Burned that journal cause scared. Losing you two. Whatever. Didn't see love in it. Marcus's throat closed. Love's the whatever, Dad. See it now. Nod. Teary. Planting it back. Return west healed fissures. Dad relocated partial. Guest cottage on estate. Tractor parked beside Tesla. Tomatoes thriving in raised beds. Spring stirred ambitions. Kai proposed expansion. BloomNet. Global network linking queer hubs via Voss satellites. Real-time support. From crisis hotlines to virtual gardens. Board balked. Overreach. Stick to LA lawns. Alexander championed. Marcus testifying. Reach is resilience. One kid in Mumbai. Connected. That's the bloom. Vote swung, but sabotage whispered. Server glitches. Traced to insider leak. Former Apex plant. Embedded deep. Hunt tense. Audits. Interviews. Paranoia prickling. Culprit cornered. Mid-level coder. Grudge from past promotion. Confession spilled. Harlan paid. Said you'd ruined him. Justice swift. Dismissal. Charges. But trust toxin lingered. Alexander's second-guessed hires. Marcus mediated team builds. Trust circles in the garden. Vulnerability shares over weeding. Summer scorched. BloomNet beta launching in waves. First node Sydney. Drag queens beta testing via VR. Feedback flooded. Feels like home. not hologram. But personal bloom budded. Surrogacy consults. Clinic sleek. Options overwhelming. Alexander gripped Marcus's hand through ultrasounds. Heartbeat echoes binding. Match found. Carrier Elise, artist from Portland, shared values over coffee. Fierce mama bear vibe. IVF cycles tense. Waits, hopes, letdowns. One failure. Tears in the tub. Second try stuck. Heartbeat strong at 6 weeks. Joy cautious. Names brainstormed. Riley for the boy, bold like the teen poet. Fall's foliage mirrored caution. Leaves turning, winds whipping. Lila's Theo started preschool. Center playgroup a riot of tiny flags. Sophia's wedding photos arrived. Arbor shots evoking their own. Twist uncoiled at a UN panel. Alexander keynoting on digital rights. Crowd electric, but post-talk. Envoy from a conservative regime approached. Admire your progress. Fund our youth programs. Discreet. Offer laced poison. Optics for them. Blood money for him. Alexander declined on stage. Mike hot. Funds for freedom, not facades. Backlash global. Regime smears. Trade deals teetering. Homefront strained. Alexander withdrawn. Marcus bridging with bedtime stories to Elise's belly via phone. Ethan, visiting, called it. Dad's armor's cracking. Fix it green thumb style. Intervention. Greenhouse lock-in. No tech. Just seedlings and scotch. Armor chafes. Alexander admitted. That offer? Tempted, for stability. For us. Marcus knelt, soil sifting. Stability's not stone, it's soil. Flexible, feeds. Vow renewed. Ethical firewalls, no compromises. Winter quickened. First kicks. Nursery painted in mural by Ethan. Vines linking continents. Dad hail carved crib, whittling tales of farm births. New Year's Eve, estate aglow, guests toasting BloomNet's milestone, million connections. Fireworks burst, but quiet moment on balcony. Alexander's hand on Marcus's rounding proxy belly. Our Bloom. Spring birth miracle. Riley Vosshale, squall to coo in hospital hush. Alexander cut cord, tears unashamed. Marcus held first, tiny fist clutching finger, legacy live. Baptism of sorts at center. Rainbow ribbon. Youth choir singing welcome. Lila auntie, Sophia godmother. Dad hail beaming grandpa. But summer shadowed joy. Apex dissolved, but Harlan paroled early. Health plea, lung cancer. Letter arrived, garden's yours. One request, visit. Mercy tested. Marcus advocated. Roots forgive or rot. Prison stark, Harlan gaunt in jumpsuit. Hate festered. You. Flowered it out. Cough racked. Confession croaked. Wife left cause of me. Echoes now. Alexander silent. Then, water your own bed. Start small. No hug, but seed. Harlan donated remnants to center. Art supplies for murals. Fall's harvest rich. Riley's first smile amid pumpkins. BloomNet nodes in 50 countries. Ethan published Entwined. Bestseller lists queer-lit darling. Winter wrapped gentle. Holidays with Theo tumbling. Riley gurgling. Dad hail told farm yarns. Clara's letter read aloud. Family full circle. As snow dusted once more, Marcus rocked Riley, Alexander beside. Nurtured this, he murmured. Us, Marcus corrected. All of us. Riley's first birthday dawned riotous. Estate overrun with balloons bobbing like escaped dreams. Center kids piling in with crafts. Finger-painted cards, a quilt stitched by Sophia's collective. Marcus chased the tot through grass. Laughter bubbling as chubby legs pumped toward the koi pond. Alexander scooped him mid-dash, hoisting high. Future fixer or farmer? 2 years fatherhood transformed them. Alexander's suits traded for overalls on weekends. Board calls muted for nap times. Marcus's volunteer shifts now playdates. Garden beds ringed with baby gates. But expansion tugged. BloomNet's success birthed demands. Keynotes in Berlin, hubs in Nairobi. Pulling Alexander globetrotting, Marcus anchoring homefront. First rift surfaced over Tokyo trip. 3 weeks? Riley barely knows your tie rack. Marcus snapped, packing diapers. Alexander deflated, suitcase unzipped. Empire's elastic, but impacts now. Delegate. Compromise. Hybrid. Alexander remote half. Marcus joining for finale, Riley with Lila's crew. Flight East wove jet lag into jet streams, Tokyo neon a blur against family focus. Panels dazzled, crowds chanting for Bloomguard, queer activists gifting Sakura saplings, roots across oceans. But hotel hush, Marcus confided. Miss the mess here. Clean abroad feels. Counterfeit. Alexander nodded, skyline glittering. Then we route global. Family notes. Homecoming healed. Riley's squeal at airport, Theo's bear hug. But undercurrents churned. Dad Hale's murmur worsened. Doc's urging chemo, farm sold for care. Marcus Midwest bound again. Alexander helming Empire solo, video checks strained by time zones. Ohio autumn ablaze, leaves carpeting the old plot. Dad weak, but wry. Beat cancer or not, I bloomed late. You're doing. Treatments grueling, Marcus bedside marathons, stories of Riley's escapades, Alexander's audio dispatches. Remission flickered spring, Dad returning west, cottage chemo suite. Summer solstice gala, BloomNet's third anniversary, A-listers mingling with youth alums, Jamie headlining poetry slam, Kai unveiling satellite swarm. Riley toddled stage, stealing mics with babbles, crowd melting. But toast interrupted. Breaking news ticker, cyber breach, BloomNet servers hit, user data exposed. Panic cascade, hotlines jammed, doxing spiking. Crisis core, Alexander commandeering war room, Marcus fielding youth calls, safe, breathe. Culprit? Rogue state actor, regime grudge from UN snub. Counterstrike, Kai's firewalls held, but purge exhaustive. Nights sleepless, Riley's cries syncing with alerts. Trust eroded, users wary. Fall rebuild, transparency audits, user-led overhauls. Marcus testified congressional hearing. Data's not digits, it's diaries. Guard hearts, not just hacks. Bills passed, protections etched. But personal toll, Alexander burned out, grays threading temples. Worth it? He whispered post-hearing, Capitol steps cold. Marcus linked arms. Every guarded story, yes. Winter warmed with wonders. Dad Hale stable, crafting Riley's first tool set, tiny trowel engraved Grandpa's grit. Ethan graduated, novel sequel announced. Blooming branches, family cameos veiled. Riley's words emerged, Dada grow. Pointing plots, heart full. Spring twist, Elise, carrier turned auntie, announced her own. Fall due date, joyful overlap. Lila through shower, center transformed fairy lit. But shadow slunk. Anonymous threats to Riley, mailbox notes, weeds uprooted. FBI traced to fringe group, Harlan sympathizers, but fear fermented. Estate fortified, playdates indoors. Alexander's rage channeled. Public plea, protect the small shoots. Media storm, donations surged for security grants. Resolution raw, group leader arrested, confession spilling cult fractures. Harlan, hospice-bound, sent video, my poison. Antidotes yours, live loud. Death came quiet, obituary noting reparations made. Marcus attended sparse service, scattering seeds on grave, forget-me-nots, unforgetting. Summer healed, family Vakui Channel Islands, seals barking lullabies, Riley beach-combing treasures. Bonds reaffirmed, no words needed. Fall Harvest Festival, Center's biggest, Riley crowned Bloom Prince, toddling with scepter shovel. Sophia birthed twins, double aunties. Winter's Eve, Snow Globe LA, Alexander proposed expansion, adoption for Riley's sibling, international, queer family priority. Process labyrinth, home studies, interviews raw, past floods dredged, loves laid bare. Match surfaced, twins, 5, from foster flux, boy and girl, names pending. Court day trembled, gavel fall, family sealed. Renamed Aria and Jax, fitting seamless, Riley shadows banished by sibling son. New Year's, household chaos joyful, for under 10, Dad Hale patriarch, Lila co-parent pod. As fireworks faded, Marcus and Alexander stole porch moment, kids slumbering. Nurtured a village, Alexander marveled. Marcus smiled, stars winking. And counting,